The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4599. The clerk will report the bill.
House File 4599, number 6 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to agriculture.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 4599.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. I recognize the member from Rice, the author of the bill, Representative Lippert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House File 4599 is another bill that seeks to respond to the crisis that farmers are facing right now. It extends the time frame outlined by the Farmer Lender Mediation Act. Under the Farmer Lender Mediation Act, if you're a farmer that has at least $15,000 in debt called by the bank, you can enter into mediation with your lender. And at that point, you have 90 days to work out an agreement, 90 days before the bank is able to enforce the debt. Earlier this session, on April 14th, recognizing the impact that COVID-19 was already having on farmers and the difficulty that COVID-19 is creating for face-to-face mediation, we extended this time frame from 90 days to 150 days. Since then, packing plants have shut down. The economic situation for farmers has grown much worse. This is all on top of 5 years of low prices for farmers. And because of these financial pressures, we expect more farmers to be going into mediation. The aim of this bill is to give farmers in mediation and those farmers who will be going into mediation more time and to help farmers stay on their farm. For farmers in mediation and for farmers entering into mediation before August 31st, this bill extends the end of the mediation time period to December 1st, 2020, or 150 days, whichever is later. Everything in agriculture has been thrown up in the air and nothing has landed yet. We want to provide time for farmers to plant and harvest, time for livestock markets to stabilize, for milk prices to stabilize, and for federal support for farmers to become clearer. We don't want farmers and lenders to be rushed into farm-ending decisions in such a volatile ag marketplace. This bill passed the Ag Committee unanimously. Mary Preisler, who leads the University of Minnesota Extension Farmer and Lender Mediation Program, testified on behalf of the bill, saying it would be good for farmers and for lenders too. I want to share one quick story from a farmer who testified before the Ag Committee. Bonnie Haugen testified saying that she and her husband own a grazing dairy farm. They have never needed to consider bankruptcy before, but this COVID situation, she said, has changed things drastically. They looked at their dairy's net worth on April 20th, 2020, and in 1 year it had declined by 66%. They carried 40 steers to the winter, which they expected to sell to pay off their 2019 operating loan. At this time, they have no buyer for the steers. Nobody wants to buy their cull cows. Typically, there's a buyer for excess heifers. There's no buyers for their heifers either. Milk prices, as Representative Anderson was mentioning, have steadily fallen. In February, the price was $22 per hundredweight. In April, $17 per hundredweight, and the prediction for May was $12 per hundredweight. She said in the beginning of 2020, we were looking forward to this year. We thought it was going to be a great year and that we were going to get caught up on past bills accumulated from previous tough years, but now it's a whole different story. And this is just the story of one dairy farm. These stories are unfolding all over farm country. Corn farmers facing disruption from the closing of ethanol plants, and hog farmers are facing devastation due to closed packing plants. So this bill will give our farmers some time, and it's important for farmers, for their families, for rural communities, and for our food supply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Pine, Representative Nelson.
Thank you for this bill. And mediation is something that nobody wants to have to face. However, it's something that it's a good tool to have. And as we go into spring, new calves are being born, seeds are going into the ground, and there's a hope for many of the fall harvest. And yet the weighing on the shoulders of many farms is, can I pass this on to the next generation? And maybe even not even that, can I make it through this year? And while many would like to not have to deal with a loan, not have to deal with working with the banker, they would just like a fair price for their product. currently in this pandemic, that's something that isn't really fully a reality. And so I think working with this and being able to go until the end of the year with mediation, I know bankers don't want to own property and take over a farm right now either, because they're looking at their balance sheets and there's a lot of questions there. And I'm not going to read it, or will I sing it, because that would be probably even worse than going through mediation maybe if I were to sing. But John Mellencamp wrote a song back in the 80s, and it was Rain on the Scarecrow. And if you would go through and take and read that song, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but it's talking about the 1980s farm crisis and what was happening there. And in many ways, we're in that same situation today. As Representative Lippert pointed out, we've been a declining market for our grains for about 5 years, 6 years. It's been a challenge. In 2020, had the promise of being a year that was turning around, was going to be a delight after 2019 of a wet spring, a late year, a harvest that was a challenge, and now this. Our markets are in question. Maybe we do, maybe we don't have processing, and it's hurt. And it doesn't matter if you're a small farm or a large farm. It's hurt every single one of us. And so before you go to bed tonight, take and read the songs, or read the lyrics from the song Rain on the Scarecrow, and say a prayer for our farmers, and reach out to them. They're probably hurting more than you know.
The member from Pope, Representative Anderson.
Thanks, Madam Speaker and members. Things that have been said today are ringing true. I want to thank the author of the bill for the acknowledgement that we're facing some challenging times, not only in ag, but I think every business really around the state. The stay-at-home order and such has hurt a lot of our main streets, and the economy in general is under stress. You know, farmers, I think by and large, are an optimistic lot of people. We plant the crop in the spring, we pray for rain, hope for a good crop in the fall, a good harvest, and maybe a weather event someplace else in the world so that our prices come up and we get a good price when we take our grain to town. But I do have a bit of a concern about the bill in that extending these things is a positive thing, but I'm just thinking about a farmer that, again, may have put this crop in the ground and hoping for the good things to happen this summer and fall, and he maybe is waiting before he would decide to file his notice for mediation to see how the harvest turns out this fall. Pretty logical thing to do. A USDA report came out yesterday, and assuming normal weather and such, we could be sitting on a 15 billion bushel corn crop this fall with prices lower than they are today, which is not a very positive thing to think about. But that may be what's in the offing. So again, thinking about that farmer that waits till fall and then sees that prices have not come up and the harvest wasn't quite as good as he hoped it would be, and he decides to file a mediation request, but it's after this August 31st deadline to get the extension. So if he files his request in November or October, we may kind of overload the system. If there are a lot of folks in that situation, and there could be, that need some restructuring of their loans, things like that, to stay in operation, stay on the farm. And I just would hope that the banking system and such could handle what could be an increase this fall brought on by a combination of COVID-19, bad prices, bad weather possibly, and in this extension as well, which pushes off a lot of the activity from this summer because of no person-to-person visits, granted. But there could be a busy fall and winter coming up ahead for the farmers and bankers facing this very unpleasant situation. But I support the bill, and again, being optimistic, we hope for a good crop, good prices, and the COVID-19 situation to be in the rearview mirror. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Further discussion to the bill, Representative Lippert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members, and I appreciate the opportunity to present this bill. And Representative Anderson, I would imagine that this conversation will continue as we go forward, and there's no doubt that difficult decisions will be ahead for farmers and for lenders, but we want to provide some more time with this bill, and I think it's an important step. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will take the roll on House File 4599.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson. Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Becker, Finn. Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow.
Bow, aye.
Bow, aye. Brand. Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson, L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damuth.
Damuth, aye.
Damuth, aye. Detmer.
Detmer, aye.
Detmer, aye. Drazkowski. Drazkowski.
Drazkowski, aye.
Drazkowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson.
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg votes yes.
Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Grunhagen. Grunhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman. Heinzman, aye. Herr.
Her, aye.
Herr, aye. Hertos.
Hertas, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, aye.
Katiza Watun, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Risha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish-Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish-Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesh.
Lesh, aye.
Lesh, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert. Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, I.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Markwart.
Markwart, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, I.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, I.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, I.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, I.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, I.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson, M.
Nelson M, aye.
Nelson, M, aye. Nelson, N. Nelson, N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, I.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, I.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppy.
Poppy, I.
Poppy, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, I.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Baum, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, I.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, I.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, I.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Salk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, I.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, I.
Scott, aye. Stevenson. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice.
Tice, I.
Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, I.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, I.
Wagenius, aye. Waslowick.
Wozlowick, I.
Waslowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Walgamot.
Wolgamott, aye.
Walgamot, aye. Zhang Jie. Zhang Jie. Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Long T, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, I.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye.
There being 134 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.